Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with Pacific Nut Producer Magazine, reporting to you from the annual conference of American Pistachio Growers in beautiful Monterey this year. It really was an interesting conference because we also had a special tribute to this man right here, Bob Klein, who's the manager of the California Pistachio Research Board. And, you know, you're retiring. Now, I understand it's not going to be your last day as far as some of the projects that you've been working on for many years that you're not ready to necessarily put down altogether, right?
Well, they're not. There's projects that we're just starting now, but require some babysitting, and because I've been around so long, I have some specialized experience to help with that.
Great. So I'm assuming you're going to be working pretty closely with Steve Vasquez, who's been announced as your replacement.
Right. Steve and I will have weekly or bi-weekly phone calls to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Awesome. Well, you gave a great presentation today as well at the conference here, and so wanted to talk with you about your forecast for the future of the industry. I mean, since you started working in the pistachio industry to now, there's been tremendous growth in acreage of pistachios here in California and even beyond. And so you gave some statistics as far as how much acreage is in the ground, what's bearing, non-bearing, and what our projections are for production in the future based on that. Can you tell us some of the highlights?
Okay. Well, when I came here in 1999, we had 92,000 acres of pistachios in the ground. That includes all those were bearing and non-bearing. And of course, now we have 606,000 acres in the ground. That's our current estimate of the acreage that's been planted. And during that time, we've had to change in varieties as well. From about 2010, the new variety Golden Hills became the dominant variety in the industry. The varieties have different bearing capabilities and capacities, and so knowing what the acreage is and what the characteristics of the varieties are, we can make some projections on yield going over the next 5-year period.
Well, and you mentioned, you know, as far as variety changes, right? Golden Hills is really the big variety that's been planted to the point where we're now more than 50% of the industry, where historically it was Kerman, right?
Right. So we probably have about 230 to 235,000 acres of Kerman, and we have about the same bearing acres of Golden Hills, but we have another 170,000 acres of non-bearing Golden Hills, and those will all come into bearing over the next 5 years.
And there's a little change in the way and what we can expect because of the varietal change as well, right? Because Kerman has been historically a lot more alternate bearing, right?
Right. So Kerman alternate bears probably the off years about 60 to 70% of the on-year production, but many people are saying that Golden Hills doesn't alternate bear at all, or other people are saying maybe it alternate bears at 90%. So there's not going to be as much alternate bearing as we go forward. And that's going to change how many pounds we get in each year and what we can expect.
You gave a disclaimer that, you know, just like the weather, things can change, right? You know, you may project so much for a crop year, but then you don't have good chill hours, or there's some kind of crop disaster with the weather, you know. But that being said, what do you forecast for, you know, 2024 and beyond?
Well, this year, 2024, we're not quite sure about how good a chill we have. So that's a particular concern this year. Right now, we're looking at probably about 1.3 billion pounds of pistachios being harvested this year. If it turns out to be a bad chill year, it'll probably come in somewhere closer to 1 billion. So we can look at a top and a bottom that way. On the other side, if we have a bad year this year, that means the trees will be even more primed for an on year the next year. And then we could be pushing from anywhere from 1.75 to even as high as 2 billion pounds, depending on what happens this year. And if we look at it overall over the next 5 years, we should be expecting total crops of the 5-year period that are over 8 billion pounds.
And it's gonna make a big difference, right? Based on where we are now, even today, right? I mean, this past crop year, what was the where do we land?
1.492 or something like in that order. So nominally 1.5 billion pounds.
And that was an on year, right?
Yes, definitely an on year. And so there's going to be a bit of change with that. That's what puts us in a position for an off year next year. And because it was so universally on, we're not looking at a huge amount of variability in the orchards.
Right. So these days and moving forward, our off years are still going to be historical record-breaking crops compared to, the previous 10, 20 years.
Yeah. So historically, the off year following the record year, the off year is the same as the previous on year 2 years back. So we had 1.5 billion this year. We had about 1.2 billion 2 years ago, and that means that our off year this year will be about 1.2 billion. Probably the on year will be 1.5 billion. So the numbers start adding up very quickly.
That's tremendous. We really appreciate organizations like American Pistachio Growers speaking here today that are gearing up to market such a huge crop that we're expecting.
Yeah. What's been encouraging this year is that the market has shown that we can move a big crop like 1.5 billion pounds. The problem everybody has is that it's moving at a price that we would like to see a bit higher, and that's where the marketing is going to come in.
So, well, we appreciate your insights and all the work that you've done over the years. We're really going to miss you, Bob. I'm going to miss our interviews, for sure.
I'm going to miss all of you, even you, Matthew.
Oh, well, thank you so much. As always, we appreciate you. Best regards moving forward into retirement. Hope you sure enjoy it with your wife. Read more about these things in Pacific Nut Producer Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.